Hey guys, it's Kelly Dell here with Off the Beaded Path beadstore.com. A couple of weeks ago, I was doing a video in my closed Facebook group and I had on these earrings and I had so many comments of people asking me, where did you get the pattern? Are you going to write a pattern? Can you show me how to do it? Can you tell me how to do it? Oh, I think I can figure that out. So I thought, okay, let's show you guys how to do these earrings. Now, with this, let me preference that this is going to be a little bit different from most of my other written patterns that I do on my website. Number one, it is not going to be a full step-by-step written pattern. And the reason being is I want to show total respect to the Contemporary Geometric Beadwork team because of the fact that I learned how to do these at one of their retreats and they are coming out with new material very soon. So I want to make sure that I don't go ahead and write a pattern for something that may be in their upcoming material. So it's very, very fun to make. I think you're really going to enjoy it. When I was at the retreat, Kate McKinnon was pulling out all of these amazing samples of pieces and she pulled out this one piece that I adored, and it's made out of warped squares, but it was using the mathematical term Fibonacci. So if you have never heard of that term, look it up. It's very cool. And so the piece started out with very small increases and then drastic increases very quickly. So I loved the piece, but I wanted to make it just a little smaller. So Kate said, Kelly, why don't you start with one warp square in a small amount and then choose a number of beads that you are going to add to each warped square past that. She said, you'll get something very, very similar. And I said, okay. So that is how these little earrings are born. Now, I say little, and you know I'm being sarcastic about that because they are not little. But the great thing is, if these are just too big for you, then you can start out with smaller numbers in this initial one that we're going to start, our first warp square that we're going to make, and then everything else will turn out a little bit smaller as well. Another thing that you can do is if you are not into earrings, you go, wow, that is just massive. Make it into an ornament or something that you can hang and put up in your bead room or wherever you want. This is the one I'm going to be showing you how to do today in honor of the upcoming 4th of July holiday. It is red, white, and blue. And as you can see, each one of our little pieces has a different pattern. So you can pull in as many size 11 Delicas as you want to create your patterns with. You're going to need 2 very small jump rings. You're going to need a pair of ear wires, size 12 beading needle, your favorite beading thread that is 6 pounds or thinner because you're going to be going through some of these several times and you're going to need some patience. All right. The other thing you'll want to do is go to the Contemporary Geometric Beadwork page and download the free graph that you're going to want to fill out for this little guy. You can find the warped square graphs. Karen Benningfield made them for free for you guys. So I've got a direct link to the guide that I did for these earrings, which is free on my website, or you can click below on the direct link to the CGB website and it will take you straight there that you can download that, because that is going to be helpful when you are designing your different patterns that you will want to do. So let's go ahead and get started. As far as the construction of our star is going to go, we are going to be working on the smallest warped square first, and then we are going to work our way up to the biggest one. You can notice that each section that I've done has a different pattern, and that is the fun part about this piece. You can do it, of course, 2 colors if you want to, but you can add as many colors and as many different designs to this as you would like. It's a lot of fun, and just color possibilities and design possibilities are endless for these. So let's go ahead and get a needle threaded with 2 yards of thread. That is going to make our first and our second section here of our star. So the first color that we are going to work on is going to be this color here, the white. everywhere you see the white is going to be shared in your piece. In this one, it would be the silver. That's the color you are going to start every single one of your pieces with. So to start out, I'm going to thread on 4 of my white beads. I'm going to drop these down, but I'm going to make sure that I leave enough of a tail thread that I can stitch this in when I'm done. So from that tail thread, I'm going to pass back through all 4 beads again. And then I'm going to go through them one more time. So that when I am back to the start, I have something that looks like a squished square. Now, we're going to thread on 2 white, and I'm going to pass through the very next bead. I'm going to thread on 2 white and pass through the very next bead. Two white, pass through, and each time I'm just turning it so it's easier to get to. And now 2 white, and on this one, when we do this one, you have to be careful and pay attention, because when we go through the very next bead, it's going to be this bead right here. But we also have to do our step up at the same time. So I'm actually going to be going through 2 beads right here. So that way, when I pull that, those will pop into place. And now this is what we should have. So we're going to thread on 2 white and pass down through the very next white bead there. And now I'm going to start with my new color. So I'm going to thread on a blue, and I'm going to go through a white. So I'm going to skip the lower white and go through the upper white there. I'm going to thread on 2 white and pass through the very next white bead. Now a blue, and I'm going to skip that lower blue there, or the lower white, and I'm going to come through the next white. So I'm skipping one and going through one. Thread on 2 white and come through the very next one. One blue, and again, I'm going to skip that little space there, that lower white bead right here, and I'm going to come through the next one. So 2 white, and come down through the very next one. And now at this point, it should be tight. Once I come through this bead, it's going to be hard to tell where that little space that I'm going to skip is. So if I kind of pull it back like this, you can see there is my lower white right there. And then I have the 2 beads where I need to do the step up. So I've got to finish out. So I pick up a blue bead, and I'm going to come through, skip the little lower one here, and come through the last one of the row, and then the first one that I added. So I'm going through those 2 beads there. And when I pull this, it is going to pop into place. Now, when it pops into place, you'll notice that it is no longer flat. And that's because when we put that blue bead in there, that made it turn into like that V shape or that taco shape that we want. And that's exactly what we wanted it to do. Now, you'll want to pay attention to the way that your taco lays. It's really important if you're doing a pattern, especially if you're doing a star or something like that, that has a pattern to it, you'll definitely want to pay attention. For what I'm doing today, which is just going to be this one here, I don't really have to worry about which way my taco goes. So I'm just going to let it fold however it wants to. Now, I'm going to thread on 2 white beads, and I'm going to come through the very next one. And now this time, I pick up 1 blue and go through the blue. And then I pick up 1 blue and I go through the white bead here on the end. So I've done some peyote. Now 2 white, come through the very next white. And then I'll be adding 1 blue, going through the blue. And 1 blue and going through the end white bead here. And I'm going to do this the rest of the way around. So 2 white, come through the very next one. Then blue, go through the blue. Blue, go through the white. Now 2 white, come through the white. Then a blue, go through the blue. And then we're going to do a blue. And this time when we do the blue, this is where we do our step up. So again, it's going to look like there's not space, but there is. We just go through the top 2 white beads there, just like that. And when you pull that into place, it pops it into place just like that. Okay, next row is going to be worked the same. We're going to pick up 2 white beads and go through the white right next to it. And this time we pick up a blue, go through a blue, pick up a blue, go through a blue, pick up a blue, and go through the white. And I'm going to work what I just did here all the way around. At the end of the row, once you've done your step up, this is what you should have. For the next round, we're going to work exactly the same. We're going to pick up 2 of our white beads and we're going to go through the very next one. Then we're going to pick up 1 blue, go through a blue, 1 blue, go through a blue, 1 blue, go through a blue, and whoop, that one is not laying right. What's going on with you, bead? There we go. And now 1 blue and go through the white there on the end. So far I have 1, 2, 3, 4 blue sticking up on that side. So I'm going to continue to work 4 stitches of the blue on each side. So at the end of the row, this is what your piece should hopefully look like. The great thing about it is that was your last row for this work square. We want on this one 7 beads of our main color here. We want 7 beads on each side. And I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 4 beads that are sticking up and 3 beads that are lower. So that is 7 beads. So 7 beads down each side means that it is complete. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to complete and finish off each of these threads. So we do this by locking those threads into place. So I'm going to just kind of pass down through the beads, and then I'm coming out of this white bead right here. So I'll come through the blue bead right next to it, and then back down through that white bead again. That helps to kind of lock that thread in place. And then I might pass down through and do that again at another set of beads. And then once I have that, I can kind of just pass through a few more beads and be finished with that thread. Now there's plenty enough thread there to do the second warp square, so I'm just going to trim that. And then here in the center, what we want to do is we want to thread our needle. And then we've already been through the center twice. So I'm going to take and maybe go through those center beads one more time. And then I can take and pass up through a few of the beads of the increase. And then I can either cut this off or use my little thread zapper to get it off. And my first little warped square is complete. Now what we need to do, that's our basic construction. But now what I need to show you is how we're going to do a pattern and how to read the warped square graph. So when you get ready to do one of your warp squares with a pattern, it's really easy to use a graph paper. So if you go to the Contemporary Geometric Beadwork page, they have a graph for free for you that you can download. It's by Karen Benningfield. I also have put the direct link below in the description box and on the free handout that I did to go with this project. But you can download it and you can blow this up as big as you need it to. When you look here in the center, you see an X shape. So that X shape is everywhere you see the white on this project. So that's going to be your increases that you are going to be making to do your pattern. So you need to kind of figure out first how many beads are going to be on each side of your piece for this warp square. And for the second one, mine has 11 beads. So to me, the first thing to do that's easiest is to go ahead and kind of, and they do make another graph paper for this, but you can almost fold it in a triangle like this. And this will help you work on one side at a time. So the beads here that make up these center beads, like this, as I'm working up. So these beads right here, these would be the white beads in the pattern. And if I unfold this, you can see there, anywhere here, these first 4 beads here in the center. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the first 4 beads that we start out with in our pattern, as you can remember in the one we just did. So the beads here are going to be the white beads. So I'm just going to fold this back up. So I know that my second warp square has 11 beads to it, and I want to do a pattern. So I start out This bead right here, this is going to be the first bead that I thread on. That's going to be a blue bead. Remember, just like we did in our little warped square there, we threaded on the blue bead first. Now, the next color I'm going to put on is going to be my red. And so that will, I'm going to use that as my pattern since I don't have a red bead. The next is going to be blue. So that row, I will be putting on 3 blue beads. Then I'm back to red again. So if I count these beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that gives me 7 beads, and I have to have 11. So now I'm going back to the blue, and I'll have blue, 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 blue. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 beads so far. And let me... Then I'm back to red again. And you can see I'm just going straight across to the next bead in that row. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that is my 11 beads on the row. And I know that by the time I finish it, I will have that right there. So that is what my pattern is going to look like. So I can either open this up and draw this same pattern out on each side, and I can follow that. Or since all 4 sides are going to be identical, I can just follow this. And again, it's great because we already know that there is a graph paper for the full square and this part here. So now that I've drawn out my pattern, let's go and look at how we take the pattern and put it to the beadwork. So I've gone ahead and got started on another one of my warped squares. I started exactly like I did the previous square. And you'll see here I've already put in the little blue bead just like we did at our previous square. And that little blue bead is this one right here in the center. So now when I work around, I'll see here my next 2 beads on the row are going to be red beads, because I'll come out of a white, pick up a red, go through a blue, pick up a red, go through a white. So started out the same way. 2 whites. But again, I know this time it's going to be a red, come through the blue, red, come through the white, just like that. And I'm going to be working that on all 4 sides. So again, it's 2 white, and then a red, go through the blue, a red, go through the white, and I'm going to do that on all 4 sides. At the end of the row, that is what the piece looks like. So if I look at my graph here, I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of white these out as I do them, or black them out, however we want to say it. So I know that I have that complete. So now my next row here is blue, blue, blue. So all the beads for this row will be blue. So I'm going to put on my 2 white beads. And then I know from my chart, I'm going to be working blue, go through the red, blue, go through the red, and then blue and go through the white. I can get it here. And I'm going to do that pattern all the way around. So at the end of that row, you can see where our stripes are starting to take shape and look like. So if I come back here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mark off the row that I just finished. So now my next row here is red, 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 red. So I will work the row now, putting in my red beads on each side. So this is what it looks like with our red beads in now. So we can go to our chart and we can mark off that row of red beads that we just added. And then we can see here we're going to have a row of blue and then a row of red. And that will put us at having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 beads, exactly what we need. So we're going to go ahead and do a row of blue and then a row of red, and we will have this one complete. So once you have that warp square complete according to your pattern, you'll know that when you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 beads, then we're ready to connect. Now this is going to be the part that's really important on how your star looks and differs. So we know that we are going to connect our stars just like we would connect any of the other stars that you've ever made. But this is where it's going to come in and get a little different and tricky. So if you want the stars to have a very staggered look to them, like this one does here, where you're going to see more of the previous star here in the corners like this, then when we put this together, we want to make sure that we put the first bead sticking up here to the top like this. So that way it's going to show more down here. Okay, so like this. If I want one that is not so staggered and a little bit more subtle, then I want to connect with the first blue bead, this one right here, a little lower. So it's completely up to you and how you want them to look. Either way, it's going to look amazing. But again, if you want them more staggered, you need to connect the first bead here to here. And if you don't want them as staggered, you will connect it here to here. And this is how I'm going to connect it because I've already got my other star connected like that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to lay it out just like this because this is how I want it. And I'm coming out of this side right here. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come down through one white bead right next to it. Now I'm going to take and I'm going to come through the top white bead here on the smaller square. And I'm going to leave it apart right now so you can see how the thread is going. Now I'm going to come through the red on this square. Then the blue here. Then the red. The blue. And when I pull it, you'll see there how it pulled those together. So I'm going to go through the red on the left, the blue on the right, red on the left, blue on the right, red on the left, and then I will come through the white here on the right. So that side is connected. Now, as you can tell, there's nothing here to connect to. So what I have to do is I have to take the needle and I have to run it through the beads. There's two ways I can do this. I can either go along the outer edge here, or I can come straight up through my increase and come down the other side. Either way is going to work. Here we go. So now I can come down the other side. Just like that. So that when I fold these together now, I'm back to the side that I'm going to be connecting. So I'm going to go through the white there, and I'm going to lay the connection in so that I know, let's see. I'm going to go through the red, then the blue, the red, and then the blue, red, blue, red, blue, red. Now when I get here to the top and I go through that top red, I'm going to go through the top white that is on this solid blue piece. And then I'm going to go through the top white on the new piece that I just did. And when you do that, that is going to connect the tips together there to finish out that little piece. So now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come down through the white bead right next to it, and then I can then finish off this thread. So I'll run it through some beads. And you'll have to constantly be careful about getting that thread caught, because you're going to have a lot of points and it's going to get caught. And man, glad I'm to the last little one here, because I am shredding this thread to pieces. Okay, let me just get this out and I will be right back. So once I got my thread untangled and got it weaved in, this is what you should have and what it should look like. So remember, our first work square had 7 beads on the sides. The second had 11. So now the third, I'm going to do again in a different pattern. You can use your graph paper to design it however you want. But the third is going to have 15 beads down each side. Once you have that one complete, then you are ready to connect your 2 pieces together. So when I lay them side by side, remember that if you want a more staggered inside, then this red bead right here needs to be done like this, connected, you know, higher up towards the point, like this. If you don't want them staggered as much, you can bring it in to where the red bead is a little bit lower there and not all the way up to the top. So again, it's completely up to you and how you want it to look. But you're going to go ahead and zip these together. Once those are zipped together, you're going to have something that looks hopefully like this. you're ready to do your next warped square, and that will have 19 beads on each side. I've got my number 19 beads complete. You see here I've done a fun little color block piece. So we're going to connect it in the exact same way as you've connected the other pieces. So remember, on this piece here, if I want more staggering on the inside, I need to make sure that it's connected higher up like this. And if I want it connected lower, it's going to look more like this. So just connect it whichever way you want. And then we are going to make one more section. It's going to be the biggest section of our piece. This one is going to have 23 beads down each side. Okay, so we've got this so far. You can see what the inside looks like, what the outside is looking like, and now we have this big piece. This is going to finish off your piece, and again, play around with the positioning of where you want it. Do you want it more in like that, or just a little less? So it's completely up to you how you want to do it. But we're going to put that where we want it, and then we're going to zip that up. And once you zip that up, you'll have something that should look like this. So let me go ahead and zip this one up, and we'll go over how to add the top to it so it can hang. Once you have your largest star connected, this is what your finished piece should look like. You'll want to get either a 3 or a 4 millimeter jump ring. It's completely up to you. And also it's completely up to you on how you do this. I like to do this because it holds the earring exactly the way I want it without making it super long. But it's up to you. So I'm coming out of the top bead here. I've got the jump ring, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to pass down through a few beads there right next to where my thread is exiting. Once you have that, then it's just a matter of turning around and coming up and reinforcing that loop several times. And then you will have your piece finished, and you'll be ready to start on your second one. This isn't a super fast project, but it is a project where at least you are getting to do different designs for each section, and you're not having to do the same thing over and over and over again. So that makes it pretty nice. But you'll see there how I just turned around and came back up, and I'm just going to continue to do that a few more times and then finish off my thread. Once you have both complete, you'll attach an ear wire, or you can make this into an ornament or a pendant or whatever you want, and you'll just attach whatever you want to the top to make your finished piece. So guys, I hope that you enjoyed learning how to make these open stars by the Contemporary Geometric Beadwork team. They are a lot of fun to do. You just have to have patience when it comes to those points. I cannot wait to see the different patterns that you make. I can't wait to see if you turn these into earrings, you make them smaller, you make them bigger, you make them into an ornament, whatever you want to do. So guys, thanks again, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.